recording. And we're going to start with the waiver from Campus Rec that we start all of our classes with. So in order to make these classes as freely accessible as possible to our participants, we'll be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of the class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you've moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. If you're participating in a yoga class like this one or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination to follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. And with that, we're ready to go ahead and get started. So if you're following along with my playlist, you can click start at the top of it. You can click start at the top of your playlist, whichever one works for you. And we're going to start in a seated position. So whichever works best for you. You can sit with your legs cross-legged, or you can extend them out in front of you, out to the side, whatever works best for your body tonight. Maybe your eyes come to a gentle close, or you find a soft gaze on the candle in front of you. And we're just going to begin by bringing some awareness to our breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. I don't want you to change anything about your breath. I just want you to notice what it feels like tonight. Maybe you notice the length of your inhales versus your exhales, or the temperature of the air as you breathe. Just become familiar with all of it. We bring all of our focus onto our breath in yoga for a couple different reasons. When we do things like our Vinyasa flows, it helps us find movement, to breathe and move at the same time. But when we do things like yin, that we'll be doing today, we use our breath to help us find stillness. Stillness of the body and some stillness of the mind. And stillness of the mind does not mean that we're not thinking. So as you focus on your breath and you just note, I am inhaling on your inhales and I am exhaling on your exhales, I don't want you to think that you're doing it wrong if thoughts still pop up in the head. That's what the head is supposed to do. The brain keeps thinking. But by focusing on our breath, we're allowing ourselves the chance to not have to focus on those thoughts that pop up. No matter how you're seated, on your next inhale, I want you to let the spine grow tall, crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. On your exhale, the shoulders come down and out from the ears. And I just want you to picture your breath as you breathe through the cycle. So imagine the belly and the chest all filling with air as you inhale, and gently emptying of air as you exhale. We're just exploring some space that already exists. We're not creating anything new here. We're just focusing on what we already do. We already breathe. We're just bringing some extra attention to it. And I want you to actively try to bring your breath to an even place. where it feels like the length of your inhales matches the length of your exhales. You can do this by pure feeling. You can count your inhales and exhales. Whatever works best to keep your focus on your breath as we move it towards that even space. Take a moment to notice where in the body it feels like you're holding tension. And I want you to direct your inhale into whatever space that is, and exhale, see if you can relieve it. Maybe it's the shoulders, or the belly and the core. Maybe it's the hips, or the space between the eyebrows and the forehead. Relax all of those places. It's okay if it feels a little uncomfortable, all of this focus and attention on your breath and on what the body feels like right now. Paying active attention to the body at rest can be a little unnerving sometimes, or just a little different, and that's okay if it feels that way. Your challenge is just to stick with it and breathe through it. Still maintaining that even breath as you inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. If you would like to set an intention for tonight's class, I'd invite you to do that now. An intention could be a mantra. It could be the reason you stepped onto your mat tonight. It could be what you're looking to get out of your practice. But it should be something that keeps you going and brings you back to this moment and these next 60 minutes we're going to spend on our mats together. If you've set an intention, I want you to take a deep inhale through the nose into it and an equally long exhale through your nose out of it. Inhale those palms overhead for me. Exhale, float that right hand just down to the side and gently bend to the right. You can do this with the legs in any position, if they're spread or if they're crossed. Inhale back to center for me. Exhale, that left hand comes down to the same on this side. Inhale towards center. Exhale, float that left palm down. Maybe you come down to the forearm. Maybe you stay on that palm. Inhale to center. Last side. Exhale that opposite palm down to the ground. Maybe you come down to the forearm. Maybe you stay on that palm. Inhaling back towards center. Exhale, float both hands down to the ground. Maybe you flicker your eyes open if they haven't opened yet. Gently roll the shoulders out. And we're going to come to our first yin posture tonight. So gently bringing your feet in front of you and then pressing the soles of your feet together. We're going to come to what looks like in our yang practice to be our Baddha Konasana or our bound ankle. In our yin practice, we call this butterfly. So once we've brought the feet together, I want you to move them out a little bit further away from the body so the feet make more of a diamond shape with the legs than anything else. Inhale to find that length, crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. On your exhale, just like in yang, your heart is going to guide the body forward and you're going to fold towards the feet. And I want you to fold with the length of your exhale. And when your exhale stops, your body stops. When your body stops, your exhale stops. And from here, I want you to inhale and rise about halfway out of that stretch. And this is where we're going to hold our yin posture, in this halfway point here. This is how we sink into those connective tissues. So looking towards the top of your mat and maybe making eye contact with the candle or finding another soft focal point for you to look at. I just want you to focus on your breath. Maintain that even breath. We're going to be here for about 3 more minutes. Exhale, relax those shoulders. They should be down and out from the ears. You have a flat spine, including that neck. So the neck just feels like it's in line with the rest of the spine. The gaze is lifted towards that candle or focal point at the top of your mat. The hands can be gently placed on the feet or just out to the side, but we're not gripping onto anything. Use your breath. Find areas that feel pressure or tension in the body. Inhale into them. Even exhale out of them. Maintain your posture. Know that this is probably going to feel a little bit different from our yang stretches, and that's okay. It's okay if you can't identify exactly what feels like it's working right now. That's all right. We have 1 more minute here. I know you can do it. And as we try to maintain this stillness, we're also not actively trying to fight gravity. So it might be that in this yin stretch, you end up a little bit closer to your feet than when we started in that halfway point. That's okay. But we're not trying to actively fold with the body. Maintain that space between your shoulders and your ears, and between your chin and your chest. You're doing beautifully. Focus on your breath here. On your next inhale, don't move yet, just prepare yourself for the thought of movement. Take a full breath cycle. On your second exhale, just as slowly as we folded into it, we're going to bring the body back up. We can bring the hands back behind the body and just open the heart up to the ceiling here. And then maybe bring the knees slowly together, pointing up towards the sky. You can very gently windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Slow movement is going to be the theme to the movement part of this class tonight. When you're ready, and however is most comfortable for you to get there, we're going to come to our hands and our knees in a tabletop position. You will know that you are in your very best tabletop position when your wrists are stacked right underneath your shoulders, your knees are stacked right underneath your hips. If you take a peek through your legs, you shouldn't be able to see your feet, although in my case, I can see a cat. If the wrists are uncomfortable, I want you to come down to your forearms here and just replace your wrists with your elbows so that the elbows are underneath the shoulders. It's the exact same thing. On your inhale, you're going to let that belly button come down towards the mat. The gaze goes up towards the candle. On your exhale, you're going to push the ground away. It's like a string. It's pulling the belly button up towards the ceiling, and the gaze goes under. Inhale, the navel comes down into our cow. Exhale, I want you to round your back like an angry kitty. I want you to find this 4 more times at your own pace. Moving with your breath. Going as slow or as fast as you'd like. Coming back to stillness in the center when you're ready. If we're on our forearms, let's come back to our wrists very gently. We're all going to inhale to tuck the toes, exhale to lift the hips up and back to a very gentle downward dog. The first one of our class, so I want you to take your time. Take the dog for a little walk, bend one heel or bend one knee, sink the heel towards the mat and then the other. Come back to stillness here. We're ready for our next yin posture. Inhale, the gaze moves in between the hands. As you exhale, I want you to roll forward into your plank position. Let's bring our knees to the ground, untuck the toes, keeping the elbows as close to the body as you can. We're going to lower the body all the way down until we can rest on the mat with our cheek or our forehead, and our hands are underneath our shoulder heads. And I'm going to move the camera just a little bit so that you can see me for this one. But I want you to take a peek and actually look at your right hand where it's at on the mat, underneath your right shoulder. And I want you to replace it with your right elbow. And then I want you to look at your left hand and replace it with your left elbow so that your elbows are stacked directly underneath your shoulders here. Spread your feet a little bit wider than where they usually are, just outside the hips. We're not pressing into the feet to lift the knees up. The feet and the legs are on the ground, but the gaze is lifted directly forward. We're coming to our Sphinx position here. So as long as your elbows are underneath your shoulders and the gaze is lifted up and the shoulders are down and out from the ears, you're doing it right. And we're gonna be here for 3 minutes. So I want you to settle in. Use your breath to help you find some stillness. Find a focal point here. Maybe it's still your candle. Maybe you find something else behind the candle. This is a pretty acute back bend. So I know you're going to feel it across the shoulders, the upper back, down the spine. That's okay. That's the goal. And I know you can make it to these 3 minutes. Keep those shoulders down and out from the ears. The spine is nice and tall. We feel like the Sphinx here. And just focus on your breath. Direct your breath to areas that feel pressure. Inhale into them. Exhale to see if you can relieve them. You're doing beautifully here. Finding stillness can usually be a lot harder than finding movement. That's why we use our breath as our tool. And maybe we're okay here in our Sphinx. Maybe we're going to experience a little bit of a deeper back bend and a different stretch. If that's the case, I want you to leave your hands where they're at. Just spread the fingertips wide. And you're just going to press into the palms to come up to our seal position. We're not locking out the elbows. We have a micro bend in them here, but our upper body is a little bit further off the ground. We use our feet to anchor into our mat here. So we're not pressing into the feet, but we're using them to alleviate some of the pressure that's on that lower back. And we're still making eye contact with that candle or that focal point. And we're just going to breathe no matter where you're at, if you're here or if you're in your Sphinx still. And we're not going to be here for as long. Just about one more minute. We're still keeping those shoulders down and out from the ears. We're using our breath. Everyone's looking fabulous. Come back to that intention if you set one. Draw some more focus from it. Anchor yourself in this moment. Inhale into the pressure. Exhale to relieve it. On your next inhale, if we're in our seal, prepare for movement. Don't move yet. Take a full breath cycle. On your exhale, that second exhale, you can bring just the elbows back down to the mat into your Sphinx. And then all of us in our Sphinx, on your inhale, prepare for movement. Don't move yet. Full breath cycle. On your second exhale, I want you to stack your palms together in front of you on your mat. Let the elbows come wide and use your stacked palms as a pillow for your forehead or your cheek. And we're going to rest in this belly Shavasana for a moment. And I'm going to move the camera back. On your next inhale, I want you to bring your palms back underneath the shoulders. On your exhale, you're going to push the body back up to that tabletop position and then sink the hips back over the heels for a child's pose. Bring the elbows to the ground, maybe even bring the arms back behind the body, reaching for the heels. But we're curling the spine now. We asked a lot of it in that bend. So now we're going to give it a little bit of a break. Take a moment to take a full body scan and notice what feels pressure, what feels great. Inhale into all of it. Exhale to either relieve that pressure or to celebrate the places that feel awesome. And when your body tells you it's ready, and not a second before, I want you to inhale up towards that tabletop position. We have one more yin posture that we're going to find here. So if you'd like to take a couple rounds of cat and cow, feel free. Move with your breath. Remembering that it's always okay to flip the breath cues. So if the breath doesn't feel great here, you can inhale the belly button up and exhale it down. Whatever works for you. Coming back to stillness and a flat back on your inhale. Let's tuck the toes. On our exhale, we're going to lift the body up and back for another downward dog. Take the time here, pedal the feet out. It's okay if your downward dog doesn't feel that comfortable. We haven't spent a lot of time here yet. It's still new to the body. That's all right. When you are ready, I want you to inhale, gently float that right foot high to the sky. Let's bring the gaze between the hands. On your next exhale, as gently as you can, I want you to step the right foot forward somewhere towards that right thumb. Then let's bring the left knee to the ground, left toes untuck. We're going to move that right palm to the inside of that right foot. So you're going to heel toe that right foot out, maybe 1 or 1.5 times until it's out a little bit wider than your knee. And both hands can still be underneath the shoulders on the inside of that foot. Beautiful. This is called our dragon. And we're going to pause here for just 3 minutes on this side. So I want you to imagine that you're trying to shine your heart forward. The gaze comes up, the shoulders are down and out from the ears. And we're going to find stillness here. Fabulous. If the wrists are uncomfortable, let's come to our fists here with our thumbs on the ground. And we're just going to breathe. Our gaze may be a little bit higher than our candle, so we find another focal point for this one. And we can stay here for the duration of our dragon, or if you'd like, you can bring both forearms down to the mat. This is a much more intense stretch, and it's going to feel different. We're still trying to keep that chin out of the chest, but we're not rounding that spine up or arching our neck to look up. So the gaze is going to be towards the top of the mat here, just sort of in line with the rest of the spine. And you're going to breathe. No matter which station you're at here, I want you to find what is feeling pressure. Inhale into it, exhale through it. Dragon can feel like our most active yin posture, but I promise we're still sinking into those connective tissues by finding the stillness. So focus on your breath, find your intention, and let the body be still. Just 1 more minute here, wherever you're at, finding that stillness. Shoulders are out of the ears. I know you can do this. Maybe you make your breath audible. You come to an Ujjayi breath. But we still maintain that even space. If we're on our forearms here, on your next inhale, don't move yet. I just want you to prepare for movement. Full breath cycle. On your second exhale, I want you to just come back to the hands or the fist here. If we're on our hands, inhale, prepare for movement. Exhale through it. On your next inhale, heel toe, that right foot in, back underneath. Move that right hand to the outside of that right foot. Inhale to tuck that back toe. Gently lift that left knee, and you're gonna fly very slowly, that right foot high to the sky and down to meet the left. Let's bring those knees to the ground. Untuck the toes and the hips over the heels for a child's pose. Again, hands can come behind the body and reach for the heels. And I want you to relax. We have one more side of dragon to go. And you know what it feels like on that one side of the body, but it could feel entirely different on the other. But keeping that in mind, you know what it felt like in the body in general. So doing whatever you need to do to prepare for that. Finding your intention, really breathing into it, coming back to the breath. Reminding yourself how much your body deserves to be put first, which is what you're doing right now. When you've found your reason and you're ready, and not before that, we're going to bring our hands back out in front of us on the mat and just inhale back up to that tabletop position. Option to take some rounds of cat and cow if you'd love to. Moving with your breath. Always going as slow or as quickly as you'd like. Take 2 more rounds here. Remembering we can do these on our forearms or on our fists with our thumbs in the ground. Come back to stillness in the center. On an inhale, let's tuck the toes. On an exhale, we're going to lift the body up and back for your downward dog. You know where we're headed. We're going to inhale, float that left foot high to the sky first. Bring the gaze in between the hands. On your exhale, very gently step that left foot forward towards that left thumb. Let's bring the right knee to the ground, right toes untuck. Heel toe that left foot out until it's about at the edge of your mat, maybe even goes off the edge a little bit, and that left hand comes in right underneath the shoulders. And then inhale, bring the heart forward. Gaze lifts as well. And we're in for our dragon on this side. 3 minutes here. I know you can do it. Find your stillness. Use your breath to help you find that still space of your mind, to help find ease in the stillness of your body. And same as last time, we can stay on our palms or our fists, or we can come down to the forearms here. The gaze will come down as well until you're looking at just about the top of your mat so that our cervical spine feels like it's in line with the rest of the spine. We're not arching our neck up or down. It's nice and neutral. And you're going to breathe here as well, wherever you're at. You're over halfway there. Continue to use your breath to find that stillness no matter where you're at. Find the places in the body that feel pressure. Inhale into them. Exhale through them. See if you can release a little bit of that tension. Come back to that intention if you set one. Let it go if it no longer serves you and pick a new one. If it's still serving you, hold on to it. Breathe into it. Remind yourself why you picked it. Almost there, less than 1 minute left here. You still have that even breath. If we're on our forearms on your next inhale, just prepare the body for movement. Don't move yet. On your second exhale, come back to those palms or those fists. On our palms or our fists, I want you to take an inhale, prepare the body for movement. Don't move yet. Full breath cycle. On your second inhale, gently heel toe that left foot back in. Move the left hand back out to frame it. Let's gently tuck the back toes. Lift that back knee. And very slowly, I want you to float that left leg high to the sky and down to meet the right. And then we'll bring both knees to the ground, untuck the toes, and again, come back down for our child's pose. Hands can come behind the body or can stay stretched in front, whichever one works better for you. And if child's pose is not the place your body wants to be right now, I want you to find that place. So if there was someplace else that would feel better for your body to be, go there. That will be your child's pose this time. But I want you to sink into wherever you're at and just relax everything. Keep focusing on your breath. But let everything else relax. Come back to that intention if you set one. Pull some more focus. When you're ready, and not a second before, you're going to inhale up to that tabletop position where we're all going to meet. Whenever you're ready. If you'd like to take a few rounds of cat and cow here, always feel free. We're going to bring a little bit of our yang practice into class now, but we're still not trying to elevate the heart rate. We're still going to try to move slowly and with intention. When you're ready, on an inhale, I want you to tuck the toes. On an exhale, you're going to lift the hips up and back for downward dog. We've been here a few times now. Still walk the dog out. Maybe you notice if it feels a little more comfortable. Maybe it doesn't really, and that's okay. We have the option of taking a Vinyasa Flow if you'd love to take one. If you want to flow on your own, feel free. If you want to flow together, we're going to inhale the gaze between the hands. Exhale, roll forward into your plank. We can bring our knees to the ground or keep the knees off. We can lower all the way to the ground or just halfway. Inhale up into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, roll back into your downward dog. Inhale the gaze between the hands. Exhale, I want you to take the slowest walk with as many steps possible to meet your feet with your hands at the top of your mat in that forward fold. There is a generous bend in your knees. Maybe you tiptoe your fingertips to the left and to the right along your mat. Maybe you grasp opposite elbows, sway the spine side to side. You can gently shake the head no and nod it yes. Coming back to stillness, back to the center when you're ready. We're gonna inhale just for a halfway lift. Offer that heart up to come to a nice tabletop back, no weight in the hands. Exhale back down. This time, inhale, generous bend the knees. Those arms come up. You're gonna scoop the air all the way up. Exhale, pull those hands down the midline. Open up to your Tadasana. I'll move the camera back a little bit so that you can see me. And we're in our standing. I want you to bring your attention down to your feet. Maybe you rock onto the toes, onto the heels, onto the sides of the feet. Make some circles. Making sure you circle one way, you also circle the other way. And then come back to stillness and back to the center. And really feel grounding in your feet. Your hips are stacked over those ankles. Your shoulders are stacked over the hips. We have one line of energy that can fluidly run through the body. And when you're ready, on an inhale, I want you to bring those arms up. On an exhale, I want you to sink the hips down and back into Utkatasana or chair pose. Your weight will have shifted back into your heels here. So your toes could wave at me on your mat. And your tailbone goes down and tucks slightly under as if we're trying to sit in a chair. Beautiful. And then I want you to reach your hands out in front. On your inhale, that left palm is gently going to trace down that right arm up to the shoulders and out to the back of your mat until you're looking towards the back of your mat. And you're going to exhale, scoop underneath. Inhale with that right hand trace towards the back just as slowly. Look to the back. Exhale, scoop underneath. 2 more times each side. Inhale, that left arm comes back, looks to the back of your mat. Exhale, scoop underneath. Weight is still in your heels. Inhale, the right arm comes back. Exhale, scoop underneath it. Last time, inhale, that left arm comes back. Exhale, scoop underneath. Inhale, the right arm comes back. Exhale, scoop underneath. Inhale, back up to your Tadasana. Whew. Shake it out a little bit. Rock onto the toes, rock onto the heels. Come back to that foundation now that we've played with it a little bit. And when you're ready, inhale those arms overhead. Exhale with a nice flat back to the earth. Generous bend in the knees. Inhale for that halfway lift, offer the heart up. Exhale, back down. Step back with that right foot and then that left foot to your plank position. Option to take a Vinyasa Flow if you'd love to take one. Move with your breath. Exhale down. Inhale up into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale back to your Downward Dog. Bring both knees to the ground. Untuck the toes. Let's bring the big toes together. Bring those knees wide. As we sink back over them into a wide-legged child's pose, I want you to inhale that right arm up. Exhale, slide it underneath the left arm. Thread the needle. Left arm can be extended out overhead or tuck back behind that lower back. And relax here into the stretch. Just a little bit of yang to get the heart rate elevated. We're going to bring it back down. We're going to stretch all of those muscles, all those joints, those ligaments, everything that we use today. We're going to give it a little love. Inhale, float that left palm down to the ground and float that right arm up on your exhale. Bring the right hand down. Inhale, the left arm comes up. Exhale, slide it underneath the right. Thread the needle on this side. Right arm can extend out overhead or can tuck back behind the body. Whatever works best for you. And we sink into our thread the needle on this side. Still use your breath to find places of pressure. Inhale into them. Exhale to relieve them. When you're ready, on an exhale, release that right hand down to the ground. Float that left arm up to the sky and down to meet the right. Inhale up to your tabletop position. Last chance to take a couple rounds of cat and cow while we're here if you'd like to. However many rounds you would like, until your body tells you it's time to stop. And then however is most comfortable for you, to come to a seated position on your mat. That's where you're headed next. Planting both feet on your mat, I want you to hold on to that right leg, let the left leg extend long, toes point up towards the ceiling. And then you're gonna cross that right foot over top of the left leg, hug the leg in, inhale to find that length in the spine. Inhale, maybe that right hand comes up and then comes back to tent pole and help the body twist towards the right. We're still hugging that leg in towards the body. Maybe that left elbow comes to the outside of that right thigh as we gently open up to the right. The gaze can come over that right shoulder. And I want it to feel like the stretch is coming from the belly button more from the shoulders. And they'll move at the same time, but the rotation should come from the torso first and not from the shoulders down to the abdomen. And then I just want you to relax into the stretch. Inhale the gaze back to center first. Exhale, let's gently counter that twist. Open up to the left. Beautiful. Come back to center. Uncross that leg. And then I want you to bring that right foot and plant it on the inside of that outstretched left leg. Maybe that left leg moves out to the side a little bit more. It becomes wider than your mat here. Inhale to find that length in the spine first. Exhale, turn to look at that outstretched left leg. And on your next exhale, you're going to try to bring that heart as close to the knee as we can, as if we're trying to draw it forward. So we're maintaining that space between the chin and the chest. The shoulders are out of the ears, and we're not using the hands to grip or grab onto the leg. They're just planted alongside. They're along for the ride. Gaze can still be up towards the toes. When you come to stillness, maybe you begin to tuck the chin towards the chest and gently round that spine. And notice if that changes the way that you feel the stretch. Maybe it does significantly, maybe it doesn't that much, that's okay. Inhale, the gaze comes up towards your toes. Exhale, just as slowly as we got into it, let's walk the hands back up the body. Let's bring the hands back behind the body, open that heart up the way we did at the very beginning of class. Maybe this is enough for us. Maybe if you'd like, you leave that right hand where it is, you take that left arm and you swoop the air up and around. You press onto that knee and to that foot and you look towards the back of your mat. Exhale, swoop back down when you're ready. Plant both feet on your mat in front of you. Hold on to your left leg this time. Let the right leg extend long, toes point towards the ceiling. Let's cross that foot over top of that right leg. Inhale first to find that length in the spine. Maybe that left arm comes up and then comes down to tent pole, and you twist towards the left. And then very gently, maybe that right elbow comes to the outside of that left quad. We're not trying to press onto that knee joint. The gaze can come over the left shoulder. Hand can be up or down. And I want you to relax into the stretch. On your next inhale, bring the gaze back to center first. Gently come back to center, and then maybe you counter the twist, open up to the right. Gently come back to center. I want you to uncross that leg, but bring that left foot and press it against the inside of that right thigh. That right foot can maybe track out a little bit wider, can come off your mat even. Same thing on the side. I want you to inhale to find that length in the spine first. Exhale, turn to look at that outstretched right leg. On your next exhale, maybe you begin to tiptoe the fingertips towards the feet, towards that foot rather. And the heart feels like it's being pulled forward as opposed to down. The hands are just kind of along for the ride. And it's okay if our stretch feels like it's here today, or if it feels like we're here today, whatever works best for your body. Maybe there's a little bit of space between the back of your knee and the ground, that's okay. The gaze is lifted at first. And then maybe once you find stillness, you begin to tuck the chin towards the chest and gently round that spine. Inhale that gaze back up towards the toes. Exhale just as slowly as we got into it. Let's walk the body back up. We can bring the hands back behind the body. Open that heart up to the sky. Maybe this is enough for you. Maybe you want to take that right hand and scoop there all the way up. Press onto that knee and that right foot. Look to the back of your mat and then exhale, sit back down when you're done. Beautiful. And then scooting towards the top of our mat so we have enough room to lay back down behind us. Moving our candle if it's at the top of our mat in case we lay out and our feet are longer than our mat. Jog the legs in to find length in that spine. Arms come out to the side like a mummy getting back into bed. And for a count of 5, we're gonna lay back down. So for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down to your mat. Inhale to hug those legs into the chest. Maybe you rock side to side or you draw some circles on the ceiling with your knees, giving your back a little massage. If we're circling, let's switch directions. If you'd like to open up to a happy baby, reaching on the inside of the bent knees to the outside of the feet, and then rocking side to side here. Whatever works best. If there are any final asanas you would like to take for your own practice tonight, maybe a bridge, or maybe you'd like to extend your happy baby, whatever works, you can feel free to explore those now. But when you're ready for your Shavasana, you're gonna let your legs extend long on your mat, heels come down to the ground, toes can fall away from each other. The hands come off to the sides of the bodies. We can say the palms face up to collect energy or face down to find grounding, whatever your body needs tonight. Maybe the eyes come to a gentle close, where you find a soft gaze on something on the ceiling. But I just want you to relax everything into the mat. Let yourself completely float into it. And know that it is here to support you and everything that you have to offer. Clear your forehead of any wrinkles. Let the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Imagine that you're floating on your mat and you can just let go of all tension and all things. Gently beginning to bring some awareness back to the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Making small circles with the wrists and the ankles. When you're ready, inhaling those arms overhead, taking a full body stretch like you're just getting out of bed for the first time today, pointing those toes. On your exhale, rolling to your right side, using your bicep as a cushion for your head. Maybe the knees tuck in closer to the chest, as if we were in a fetal position. For the last time all together, I want you to reflect on that intention if you set one. Let it go if it no longer serves you. Hold it in if it has more to teach you. And then spreading the fingertips on your left hand wide, I really want you to press into each fingertip and the ground in front of you. And on your exhale, you're going to press yourself up to a seated position at the top of your mat where we're all going to end class together. Once we're here, we're going to inhale those arms overhead. Exhale, let's pull them down the midline, pausing at the forehead, maybe think kind thoughts. Pausing at the lips, maybe speak kind words. And pausing finally at the heart, maybe have kind intentions to ourselves and to those around us. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me this evening. May you all be happy. May you be safe and healthy. May you walk this earth with peace and at ease, and may you find the space to help others along the way. Namaste, yogis. All right, I'm going to pause the recording now.